I think archaeology, or historical archaeology, has a particular emphasis on everyday things because the goal is to try to understand the past of ordinary individuals. It's very exciting to work as a historical archaeologist at the BGC because of its people, because of all the different faculty here who come from a variety of different disciplines and a variety of area of expertise that can come together to study objects. I've had very productive conversations, be it with a member of the permanent faculty or a visiting fellow or an invited speaker. There's just so much inspiration. It's a very friendly community, and so if I were to have a question about how a historian might interpret a particular record, I feel as though I could easily approach someone here and they'd be more than happy to help and would have the expertise to help. And with the addition of the Cultures of Conservation project, there's yet another layer of the kinds of physical science expertise that I can draw upon. One thing that I think is very important to be able to do that New York City offers is to bring students out of the classroom into the city, either be it at an archaeological site in the city or to a museum or just even to talking to people and observing what life is like in the city today to bring up questions about life in the past. The Seneca Village project is a long-term project dedicated to studying a village that had existed in Central Park from about 1827 until about 1857. This was a village that by 1857 consisted of over 300 people, multiple houses, 3 churches, and a school, and they had built a community there. The community was composed mostly of African Americans who formed what we think were the majority of the African American middle class. So I became involved in that project during the earlier phases of fieldwork, where we did a variety of less invasive testing techniques to see if there would in fact be any remains of the village left under the ground in Central Park. So we conducted tests using soil cores, taking small amounts of soil out of the ground and looking at the soil profiles and artifacts within it, and then also ground penetrating radar. And we used the results of that to pinpoint a few areas that we thought were promising. So I would say my most, I'm not sure if I would call it most surprising discovery. It's a bit surprising, but also kind of most moving discovery was a shoe, a child's shoe that came out of the foundation rubble of the Wilson House in Seneca Village. It was a shoe that was made partially of fabric and leather, and usually those materials don't survive so well in this climate in archaeological deposits. And the size of the shoe, kind of being pulled out of this foundation, was really moving, actually, for all of us on the site. And the fact that the shoe is something that holds an impression of the person and seems so intimately connected to the wearer was the thing that really moved us. Everything is about context, right? It's about the archaeological context, or the layer in the ground that you find something in, and what that layer is connected to in terms of who occupied the site at that particular period in time, but also what other kinds of objects are found in the same layer. So whenever you're studying an object, you're never studying an object in isolation. It's these sort of layers of context and layers of objects that make for sort of a different understanding of the past than maybe if you're just studying one object alone.